We are living in the silent depression, and I'm going to explain what I mean. During the Great Depression, 48% of people ages 25 to 29 lived at home with their parents. Nowadays, it's over 52%. If you take the worst year of the Great Depression in the 1930s, 1930 specifically, they made about $88,000 a year adjusted for inflation on average. One person, not a household, one person. Today, that's in between about $35,000 and $45,000 per head wherever you look across the country. New cars are unaffordable. New houses are unaffordable. To move to a new place and rent somewhere else is unaffordable. It's terrible what's going on right now. And to cap all of this off, I don't think anyone, for the most part, is really thinking about the fact that in 2020, 45% of the market just came crashing down in 1 month. There was a 45% drop in 1 month, the quickest fall that we've ever seen in United States history. And then it went back up and people have stopped thinking about it. Well, I'll tell you, I haven't. I think something big may be on the horizon because normal people in this country are struggling. And at the end of the day, normal people are what this country's backbone is built out of. If you crush the back, the country's back will be broken and the rest of the body will be functionally useless.
This guy believes we are not just living in worse than the Great Depression, we're living in the silent depression.
We are, in fact, living through a silent depression, one veiled by the illusion of economic progress. Unlike the Great Depression of the 1930s, there's no breadline on Main Street. Instead, there are GoFundMe accounts. Wages have remained stagnant since the 1980s, while the cost of housing, healthcare, education, and even food has soared. Millions work multiple jobs and still can't afford a basic life. A single unexpected expense can shatter everything. Homelessness is exploding, even as luxury developments rise unchecked. Mental illness, addiction, and self-deletion rates are climbing, while the media insists unemployment is down and the stock market is booming. Statistics that do little for the average American. This is the greatest depression in history, not because it's dramatic, but because it's disguised. We don't see it as a depression because we're addicted to the performance of prosperity, yet behind the screen lies a generation being economically and spiritually starved in silence.
We currently are making less than the height of the Great Depression. In 1930, gas was on average 10 cents a gallon. That would be about $1.73. In case you haven't filled up your car lately, average cost of a gallon of gas is $3.55. To buy a new car in 1930 would have been about $860. It's worth about 15 grand. The average cost of a new car today is $48,000. And of course, the most coveted aspect of the American dream, being able to buy a house in 1930 cost about $3,900, less than $70,000. I spend way too much time on Zillow, so maybe this isn't surprising to me, but the average price of a home in America today is $416,000. How could we be living through worst cost of living and wages than 1930? And no politician, no media outlet, no one is talking about it.
No one is calling this the Great Depression because admitting it would mean exposing the failure of the system that both the media and politicians are invested in protecting. The media is owned by billion-dollar corporations that profit from keeping people distracted, not informed. Politicians rely on the illusion of progress to get elected, so they manipulate data to paint a false picture of prosperity. But the truth is, Americans are struggling more than ever. Wages haven't kept up with inflation, debt is crushing entire generations, homelessness is at record highs, and millions can't afford basic needs. The gadgets, streaming services, and smartphones only serve as distractions from the fact that people are more overworked, underpaid, and mentally broken than at any point in modern history. This isn't just a depression, it's a silent, systemic collapse. And they don't talk about it because if they did, they'd have to take responsibility for it.
We are not entering a recession. We are currently in the greatest depression in American history. It's random facts inside my brain where basic life skills are supposed to be, and you're not going to want to miss this. In 1933, the United States was in their worst financial and economic disaster in history. You may know this as the Great Depression. 1933 was the worst year of the Great Depression, where 25% of Americans were unemployed, and those that were able to retain their jobs had to take a pay deduction of nearly half. Those that remained employed made an average of $4,200 a year according to the IRS. So I don't know if you've ever used the Bureau of Statistics inflation calculator, but it's this nifty little tool that nerds like me that are into true crime and history and facts like to use to see how money has changed over time. So I went on over there and I plunked that on in, and $4,200 in 1933 would be the equivalent of $95,000 today. So in this country's most impoverished and destitute time, these citizens were making what would equate to $95,000 today. So what does that mean for you? Well, that means if you are not currently making six figures, you are doing worse than someone in the Great Depression. Subsequently, you would need to be making $150,000 to $200,000 a year to be on track with where the average American was prior to the start of the Great Depression. Now, I don't know about you, but I sure don't make six figures. I don't even think I know anybody that does. So we all know the Great Depression was this terrible time where people couldn't afford their houses and had to move in with their parents and downsize, consolidate, so on and so forth, similar to what's happening right now and today. So I was wondering what the cost of a house was in 1933 that the people could not afford their houses. So I did some research, and a new house in 1933 cost an average of $3,900, which was less than the $4,200 a year they were making after their wages were cut in half. The average house in America currently costs $436,800. The average middle-class American makes about $50,000. That would equate to 11% of the cost of the house with their entire yearly income. Keep in mind, many Americans are working 2 and 3 jobs to make that $50,000. So we are not in a recession. We are currently in the greatest depression in American history.
One of the most convincing but least discussed reasons no one realizes we're in a modern Great Depression is because poverty today is digitized and compartmentalized, hidden behind algorithms, apps, and personal shame. In the 1930s, hardship was visible. Today, financial collapse is a private experience. You can be broke while still posting filtered photos, getting likes, and using buy now, pay later apps to fake stability. Credit cards, student loans, gig apps, and digital finance tools have created the illusion of choice and mobility, when in reality, they trap people in invisible cycles of debt and desperation. Unlike past generations, today's poor are often working full-time, even overtime, but still can't afford a home, a family, or a future. And because our suffering isn't as visibly collective, because everyone thinks it's just them failing, the silence grows. There is no shared crisis, just millions of isolated ones. That's why no one's calling it a depression. It doesn't look like the last one, but it feels worse. And no one wants to admit we've engineered a system where suffering is normalized and disguised as individual weakness.
Been in the second Great Depression for a while now. All the van life people, all the homeless camps, all the Great Depression photos in history textbooks like this and like this. 50 years from now, history textbooks are going to be filled with photos like this. And the fact that the mean income right now is less than it was during the Great Depression, and people just haven't noticed because it's aesthetic. Like, we've learned to hide it so well. Remember that one, elegance YouTube channel? I used to watch that shit religiously. I learned to do my own nails and lashes at home. And there's constantly videos of girls doing their own hair. And we're not seeing lines outside of food donation shops because people are collecting their food stamps and unemployment online. We got the internet now. The people living in their cars are marketing it as something cute and smiling. You never see the people in the Great Depression photos smiling. We have been taught, conditioned to smile like this. Remember, closed mouths don't get fed.
Peter Schiff over the past 24 hours says we are facing the second Great Depression. And it's hard to see. It's hard to see for a lot of people, perhaps, the implications of that. But all the pieces are there, and all of the pieces are coming together for an absolute disaster that the United States is facing. And it's all self-inflicted.
The current Great Depression is deeply self-inflicted, a direct result of decades of policy decisions driven by corporate greed, elite influence, and government complacency. Deregulation in the 80s and 90s, the dismantling of labor unions, globalization without safeguards, and tax cuts for the ultra-wealthy laid the foundation for a system that cannibalizes its own citizens. Corporations were allowed to outsource jobs, suppress wages, and monopolize industries with no accountability, while the government gutted public infrastructure and social safety nets. Financial institutions, after crashing the economy in 2008, were bailed out without reform, leading to a new generation of unchecked speculation in housing, healthcare, and tech. Now the cost of living has become unsustainable, and the wealth gap is wider than at any time in modern history. This isn't just bad for the poor or the middle class. It's destabilizing for the entire system. When too many people are locked out of upward mobility, consumer demand collapses, trust in institutions erodes, and political extremism fills the vacuum. The elite may feel insulated, but their wealth depends on the functioning of the system they are currently gutting. If workers can't afford to live, they can't spend, can't work effectively, and eventually rebel, either at the ballot box, in the streets, or through total disengagement. At this rate, the system will either break entirely or be forced to reset, not out of idealism, but out of sheer necessity for survival. The mental effects of the last Great Depression lasted for generations, still evident in our great-grandparents. They've grown to internalize scarcity, passing that caution to their children.
131.25.
Yeah, but I haven't even opened it.
Yeah, and you don't want to take a chance and kill yourself.
Hey, save that. That's perfectly good.
It's expired.
Oh my
I
God.
could see if it was like a borderline last week, but we're in March now. March. So we went through all February.
It looks perfectly good.
Not worth the risk.
Good.
Yeah, but it's
Grandma,
expired.
you can't eat expired fruit or veggies or meat. That
Bacon's good for
I never knew they put a date on the lettuce
Well, see,
package.
now you learned something. Something new.
I may have bought them when they already expired.
No.
Well,
it's
it's
2023.
a couple of years out of date. Let it go.
Well, I'll let it go.
Oh, that was
December-
good. That's good. That's
December-
progress.
December 20th,